Welcome back. Let's continue our journey through these top 13 ways to make your review sessions fun by looking at emotions. So here I have a roller coaster on the screen. I don't know if any of you have vertigo or whatever that is, but I'm feeling kind of scared just looking at this thing. I'm engaging your emotions. And actually in the last example we did, emotional example 2, we had that kind of force attraction thing going on. That was a bit emotional there too, so it's always good. Tell a story, show a picture, do an example, get those emotions going, right? So yeah, it would be completely useless if I didn't turn it into something. So here's a typical exam question, but because I already engaged your emotions, it's a lot more interesting. Look at the height of that roller coaster. I think that was the tallest in the world or the fastest in the world or something. Yeah, really cool way just to make that question way more fun without hardly putting any effort into doing it. I think I Googled a couple images and that was all I had to do with this one, so pretty sweet. This one's super easy. I'm not sure what this is, number 6, move. Move around your classroom. Seriously, we have this clicker thing so you're not tethered to your laptop like some of the profs are. There's one lecture hall where it's in Cunningham, the screen is on that side of the room, and the prof has to stand in the other corner, and if they don't have a clicker, which they never do, they have to stand there, and it's like, who do I look at? So, you can escape your spot, you can escape the lecture, you can escape your corner of the stage and move across, and that all of a sudden just is like revolutionary. You all of a sudden are using your space on the stage. I have so much space up here I'm not even using. I can come stand on the other side. Whoa! Sam feels so much more engaged because I'm now closer to her. This just changed the entire, feeling of our review session. So move around. There we are. Top 3 are done, or top 5, I guess. The next few are going to go a bit quicker. And here's a good tip too. If you're presenting a list, throw the heavy ones at the top, and then when you get through the bottom, go a bit faster with your smaller topics. It's a great way to kind of keep that momentum going through the list. Notice I threw the list of contents up here. Great way to say, hey, we're right here. Now you know. Analogies. Analogies can be hugely useful, but I put a caution sign right there because they only are useful if they work. So don't spend your time creating an analogy that doesn't work. They need to work. They can be super, super powerful, but they gotta work. So here's a quick analogy for you. If 12 cars pass through the drive-thru in 8 minutes, what is the average flow of cars per minute? I could turn this into an audience participation question, but here I'll just give you the answer. 12 cars divided by 8 minutes is 1.5 cars per minute. Where am I going with this? This is completely useless in a physics context, because you're never going to have a question about drive-thrus on your exam. So my analogy failed. But in physics, current is defined as the movement of not cars, but charges over time. I've just created an analogy that's going to apply to our unit on electrical charges. And just like that, you learned our first topic without me even having to say anything about electrons or current or seconds or whatever. Boom! Here's our electric current formula. Current is defined as the number of, not cars, charges over the time. And just like that, you automatically have a great analogy on how to calculate the current, not of cars, but of electrons through your drive-thru or capacitor or whatever it may be. So super easy, but the analogy has to work. Next up, we have real-world example. And here my question is, ever wonder what those bumps you drive through at the end of each bridge are for? You guys probably never thought of that, but at the end of each bridge, you drive along in your car, you got boom, boom at one side and then boom, boom at the other side. Never thought of it, but there's always one of these things at each end of the bridge, and it has to do with linear expansion. As things heat up, as our temperature value here increases, the length is going to change and get bigger with increased heat. Where am I going with this? Oh yeah, it was a real-world example, and the bridge, all of a sudden, we can connect it. The bridge is going to extend as the temperature warms up in the summer and contract in the winter as the temperature goes down. So we have a sweet real-world example for linear expansion. Another one that I like is, how much would I have to heat this loonie to get a vending machine to think it's a toonie? Yeah, everyone's laughing. That's sweet. I could have just said, exam question, how much would I have to heat an object of diameter 2.65 centimeters to expand to a diameter of 2.8 centimeters? Boring, boring, absolutely terrible. But all of a sudden I just made this way more fun by incorporating the real world into it. And every time the students, or every time you guys are going to a vending machine now for the rest of the week, I think, you're going to think, man, if I only heated this up a little more, I could get, you know, the pop chips instead of the Fruit Loops or whatever. So just like that, you're going to keep, you know, refreshing your memory. And like, man, linear expansion, and just that formula is going to stick in your head, that concept's going to stick in your head, just by me throwing this quick little real-world example to turn your exam question into something else. All right, continuing our theme of examples, we could do an outside-the-box example. So that one was pretty, you know, standard. People incorporate loonies and bridges into their everyday lives. How many people have ever kept a snowball in your freezer? I think I'm guilty of this. Put your hands up. We got one in the audience. Great job, Sean. I'll note that he's from Hawaii, so snow's a rarity down there. Look, I just use audience interaction right there, like nothing. And this is our outside-the-box example. Continuing at, this crazy lady in Florida, I think, kept a snowball in her freezer for 33 years. And my favorite part of this whole article is right there in the title. It's like a little pet. Wow. Yeah, if that's your pet, there's something up with you, right? But all right, we have this crazy outside-the-box example going. We do not incorporate snowballs in our freezers in everyday lives, except Sean, maybe, who has to go feed his little pet every day in the freezer, some fresh ice. No, this is completely useless once again, unless I turn it into something relevant to our curriculum. And that's my warning slide right there saying, Ryan, whoa, where are you going with this? Let's turn it into a question, and we'll incorporate it right into this exam question. So after 36 years, Priya Thomas finally took her 400-gram snowball out of the back of her freezer and completely unceremoniously chucked it outside. That's the end of 36 years now of storage. Yeah, that's kind of sad. There was no, you know, that was pretty anticlimactic there. But we need to calculate how much energy is needed for the snowball to reach 23 degrees Celsius. Sweet, this is a pretty cool question now, because it's relevant. You're thinking about the scene in your mind. You're thinking about this snowball, this lady who just, you know, gave up her pet to the sidewalk and it's now going to melt. We have to figure out how much energy is going to be released, or absorbed, I should say. Yeah, pretty sweet. Cool way to incorporate outside-the-box examples. Just like that. All right, next up, short video clip. Be really cautious at this. It can become wasted time really easily if you get on one of these YouTube tangents, or if your video is too long, we start throwing away too many minutes of your review session. If your video has an ad in front of it, that's especially wasteful, so try to avoid that. And if it's unrelated, you can always use it. Just put it at your intermission. I know I've changed the kind of atmosphere of a review session very quickly by at the intermission throwing up a fun little music video or something. Yeah, it's easy. You can just throw whatever your favorite video of that week is on in the intermission, and you're not wasting your time. It doesn't have to be relevant. Just something to get them fun, get them motivated again. Just kind of boost that kind of level of the atmosphere in the room. But while we're talking about our review sessions, make sure it's relevant. And one I used for my physics review sessions was the video of this girl swinging off a cliff, and that involves emotions. We already touched on that. She's screaming. Actually, I found a better one the other day where her boyfriend pushes her off the cliff, and as she's swinging on this rope off the cliff, she yells, "I'm breaking up with you!" And he's just literally on the ground laughing his butt off. And I think he thought it was actually pretty worth it to use his girlfriend just for he got it on film, so that's what it's all about. 2 million views actually. He's going to cash in on that breakup pretty quickly. Anyway, again, completely useless. Why did I bring this up? Why did I just show you a 2-minute video? I won't bring it up, but why did I bother? Yeah, what's the relevance? And if I did a now pendulum question based off this video, hey, that's a cool pendulum question. How fast is she going at the bottom of her arc? Or how far did she fall if her final velocity was 30 meters per second? We could do something really sweet with that. And you guys are already, I can see everyone's engaged because we just involved emotions, a video clip, cool stuff to keep you, in tune with the review session and learning a lot better. All right, here's that content slide again. I told you it would come back, and we are right here at the short video. We covered that. We got 3 to go. You guys are doing great. We'd probably throw another intermission here if we were at the 2-hour mark. but let's power through this, and here we go. Boys versus girls versus tutor. This was actually a little game developed by Sam Guston, our Math 100 tutor last year. He noticed, the audience wasn't really getting into it, so they started asking a whole lot of questions to the audience, and they'd keep a tally. Every time a boy got one right, they'd put a tick. Every time a girl got the question right, they'd put a tick. And every time nobody put up their hand or everyone got it wrong or something, he'd answer the question and give himself a tick. And as usual with SOS review sessions, you'll get a candy for every point. So I think he ended up eating quite a bit of candy. But it's interesting because the girls always seem to win at these competitions too. But I think that has to do with the UVic ratio of 3 girls to every guy or something, not the intelligence level of the sexes. Hey, I'm unbiased. All right, every point gets you a candy, and that is how we do in-class competitions. You can do left side of the room versus right side, the rows maybe, first 2 rows versus the back 2 rows or something. You can make it a lot more fun. This is if you're having trouble getting people to answer the questions or something, you can all of a sudden say, hey guys, you're down 2 points. Let's see some hands, and get people back into your lecture that way. All right, eye-catching slides. Find some Google. Did that thing just blink? Sweet. Find some Google images and spice up your slides, and emphasize your text with colors as well. So don't overload with the images. Also, don't overload with the colors, but use appropriately. They can be really great. Everyone's on the edge of their seat with this eyeball blinking at them right now. A cool little trick, if you want these animated things, I also had the guy walking across the screen on the move slide, if you noticed. Google whatever you want, eyeball, and then put GIF, G-I-F, after it. And GIF images are these ones that are a bit animated, and they'll actually play in your PowerPoint like this one here. Here's some more examples. Thermal conduction, again from the physics sessions I've done. When 2 objects are blah, 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 I won't bother. Looks pretty boring though, right? Boom. Here is the exact same text, the exact same layout with a background image and warmer objects now in red, cooler objects in blue. That's a way more eye-catching slide. You guys are gonna, everyone's looking at this thinking, how does this water turn into fire? Way better than this. But look, I barely even did anything. I just put a background image and changed a couple of colors. So super easy to use eye-catching slides to keep your audience in tune with your presentation. You can use the exact same thing to make formulas more interesting. We'll do another before and after here. So here's the specific heat capacity, Q equals mc delta T, blah, blah, blah. That looks really boring. Physics out of the 70s right there. We could spice it up a bit. Hey, here we go. Now we're back into modern age. We got some colors going. We have some animations going. We have some arrows going. And all of a sudden, this looks a lot more engaging than our boring formula on the last slide, even though it's the exact same thing, exact same words. Way more kind of engaging. You can understand it. Got the colors going. It's pretty sweet. So we'll do a quick review. As I told you, we should always do a summary at the end of our chapter. And quick review here. We got the 10-minute approach. Every 10 minutes, we're going to do an intervention to rescue our audience back up to that 100% percentage paying attention to me, the tutor. And we're going to do that as long as we need throughout our lecture. And here are all of these topics that we hit on today. You can throw these in as needed. You can select whichever ones you like or dislike. Yeah, only do what you're comfortable with, and definitely spice it up. Use a different, different one every 10 minutes or whatever you want. And here's where I'm going to put a quick little reminder / warning. You don't need your session to be jam-packed with fun things. Here I just gave you, I don't know, half an hour or so of fun thing after fun thing, analogy after example, participation after images. It was a lot. You guys were very close to that 100% level, but we would not learn very much physics that way. I mean, we covered maybe 3 topics in half an hour. That's not going to make it, right? Our review session would last days. So only throw these in, like I said, every 10 minutes. Rescue that attention. And make sure they're relevant. I've highlighted that many times. Make sure they're relevant. And most of your example questions, even though I said you can spice them up so easily with these kind of fun aspects to them, make sure the majority are fairly standard questions you'd see on the final exam. You can even use the formatting right of the final exam, or have the A, B, C, D options. You know, throw ones, we want the session to be useful, so throw questions that they're going to see on the exam. But also, you know, every 10 minutes, throw in one of those fun ones, or you can take that exam question and throw a name or do some cool intro into it. But make sure that you're not doing crazy questions that are too outside the box or too, you know, irrelevant to your session. Yeah, we never throw that loony question in a chemistry review session, maybe. So make sure it's relevant to your topic and make sure it's not too, you know, weird that it's not going to show up on the exam. Additional tips. I'm going to go over a few minutes here of how to compress your photos in PowerPoint. It makes uploading a lot faster. How to zip folders together. We had a lot of issues with that last semester. And how to upload review packages and your SOS profile. So I'll pause the camera here, Sean, and